More online at prg-ne.com.
Are you working in or looking to get into the electrical construction industry? The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Agriculture is the economic engine of the Midwest. At Acres Equipment, we dedicate ourselves to making that engine run smoothly. We supply our farmers and ranchers with quality John Deere equipment, parts, and service. We also deliver the most advanced technology and precision ag strategies to help them farm today and for the future. Acres Equipment, solutions for every field.
Ironhide Construction is hiring. They're looking for hardworking, self-motivated individuals who are team players. Ironhide Construction has openings for an experienced project manager, estimator, apprentice, skilled laborer, and erector or installer. They will train the right people and make sure you understand the position and requirements. At Ironhide Construction, it's own it, be honest, and do it right. Apply today and learn more about their other benefits at ironhideconstruction.com, where they're committed to you every step of the way.
October is full of sports, with football and volleyball reaching mid-season and basketball and winter sports starting up. All the excitement of the games brings major stress, and stress causes tight muscles and pain. It's time to call The Body Shop, your place in Lincoln for all types of massages: deep tissue, hydrating, sports, Swedish, hot stone, aroma, and more. And don't forget about their couples massages. Eliminate the pain from sports watching stress today with a massage at The Body Shop at 48th and A and online at thebodyshoplincoln.com.
Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstoRats.com for amazing offers, and if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Don't allow uninvited guests to take over your home. Trust Bats to Rats for a peaceful and rodent-free living space.
Belmont Chiropractic and Novotny Nutrition and Wellness specialize in getting rid of people's pain quickly and permanently. For 31 years, they've been extremely successful with advanced techniques in pain relief using spinal adjustments and decompression, detoxification, diet and lifestyle modification, and more. They are fully equipped to handle the most seasonal athlete, weekend warrior, car accidents, strains, sprains, and more. Is there anywhere you're experiencing pain on your body, or are you fighting decreased energy and depression? Consult Belmont Chiropractic and Novotny Nutrition and Wellness first at 402-476-8619.
Hi, it's Charlie Stone, and here with me is Andy Goodyear, General Manager of Honda of Lincoln. Andy, I know the new Honda sales are going really good right now at Honda of Lincoln, and with that, a lot of fresh trade-ins are coming in. Can you tell our listeners about your pre-owned selection?
I'm happy to, Charlie. Like you said, with new Honda sales going very good, we have a lot of fresh trade-ins coming in daily, and not just Hondas. We have just about every maker model you can imagine, with over 100 pre-owned and certified pre-owned to choose from, and prices starting at just $5,900.
Wow, what about financing?
We have financing as low as 3.29% APR on certified Accords and CRV.
Thanks again, Andy. People love the selection and great service at Honda of Lincoln. Maybe it's time you come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business. 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Tune in to the Teammates Mentoring Hour each Wednesday from 6 to 7 p.m. on 93.7 The Ticket. Hear stories from the program started by Tom and Nancy Osborne and how it's changed mentors and mentees' lives and how you can be involved. The Teammates Mentoring Hour, Wednesday nights from 6 to 7 o'clock on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, expecting a slight chance of showers, otherwise decreasing cloud cover as we head throughout the day. Afternoon high should be around 69. Tonight, partly cloudy, a little breezy yet, a low of around 49. And tomorrow, mostly sunny skies return with a high of around 70. I'm meteorologist Kyle Hooker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This is On the Block with Strick and Austin. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland.
Strickland for three! And you're going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
Middle school basketball coaching legend and Duke basketball shooting coach in his mind, Austin Orman. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America, on air and online at theticketfm.com. Brought to you by Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. This is On the Block with Strick and Austin.
Welcome to On the Block, E. Strick and not Austin Orman, because this is a regular occurrence.
Yes, sir.
Whenever you pop in on a Wednesday, this is what you're going to see. The E. Stricky and Nikki show.
Here we are, Stricky.
Yeah, man.
It's always a blast.
It's always good. Good crossover on the last segment. Just gave you a little bit of insight on what we're going to be doing. We want to thank our supporters here on the block, especially Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. They are open today. Wednesday is where you can pop in and see them, 27th at Pine Lake. Go on out there, have a nice meal. Let them know that E. Strick and Nick sent you out there for today, and they'll take really good care of you. Also, the Allo VIP line, which is going to be in effect in about another 6 to 7 minutes. We're going to get out of here real quick, get to Evan Bland, who's going to be joining us on the Allo VIP line, where the VIP line is brought to you by the Allo Fiber, where they understand the importance of exceptional service with local heart.
There you go.
There it is. Nick,
what's
real
up?
quick, man. We're in the middle of the week.
Yeah.
Big weeks for some coaches in universities this weekend. Big games also in the NFL side of things, as well as the Philadelphia Eagles, as well as the Miami Jake Sorensens are going to be squaring off 2 5-1 teams. But this one's important because your boy James Franklin has been waiting on this one.
Your boy, okay.
Your boy.
My boy.
Yeah. This is huge for Penn State in a breakthrough. And before we get to Evan Bland, I just wanted to get your thoughts on this weekend and kind of what you expect to see and can they finally get over the snide?
I think they do this week, actually. Now, what I would say about Penn State, like, they have this opportunity to kind of show that they've made that jump over Ohio State, right? Later on in the year, they're going to have that opportunity to do that same thing against Michigan, right? There's a lot of people prior to this year that were picking Penn State to beat or to be in the Big Ten championship and be the East Division's representative in the conference title game. Michigan looks really good through their cupcake schedule. Penn State just beat UMass 62-0 or whatever it was, their largest win in Big Ten program history. I think you look at Penn State and you look at this week as
and we knew that, by the way.
Yeah, they covered that 41.5.
We knew that.
But I think you look at this Penn State Ohio State game as an opportunity to show that they've made that jump, right? Like we talk about in the Big Ten East specifically, it always felt like Michigan and Ohio State were the two top dogs, and whichever one was going to beat the other was going to represent that division in the conference title game. But then now you have Penn State that's utilized the transfer portal through a guy like Trey Potts, who's the former Minnesota Golden Gophers running back. They've also recruited extremely well with Nick Singleton, and then obviously a 5-star quarterback, Drew Aller.
And they really like him.
They did. But they also didn't rush Drew Aller.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting. That's a big part of this whole entire thing, is that when Sean Clifford struggled, they would bring in Drew Aller. But they didn't allow Drew Aller and his 5-star and the excitement that surrounds him. They didn't let that overwhelm Penn State as a program and immediately get the starting job. And I think that can be a rarity at times. Like there's fan bases and programs that are just sitting on pins and needles, just waiting for a high level recruit to come in and just save the day. And while that's maybe the case at some places, Penn State showed that it didn't have to be the case at their institution.
I also think that was a great move. And here's why. I still think that the system that we had talked about as far as quarterbacks are concerned, that system of having your guy there that has won the job, having that younger player that has all the accolades and all of that stuff, the stars that are aligned for them, those guys are sitting in wait, but they're learning.
Yeah.
They're not, I mean, some of them can be thrown into the fire, but we even saw with Quinn Ewers, how
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah. So we even saw with him how that was an issue.
I was just gonna say, like, it's a lot of guys want to come in and start right away, and I understand it to an extent of like, hey, I want to play football, like I want to go there and I want to play right away, and that can be an attraction for some when they're picking schools, right? Is the ability to play right away. But Drew Aller's career could have been going in a completely different direction if he was forced or asked to play early on, right? And that's the same kind of principle at a lot of positions, whether it's offensive line, like we've seen in Nebraska, whether it's wide receiver, or whether it's quarterback. Like, it's a lot to ask of a guy when he is not ready yet.
Yeah.
And you can hurt your program,
no doubt,
if you ask too much of somebody that's not capable of being that role.
How well do they get it done, and how do they get it done before we go to break and get to Evan Bland?
The same way they've done it all season long, I think. They just balance. And one thing I think where Penn State's going to have the advantage is in the trenches. Ohio State, they don't have the offensive line that they usually do. They lost, Petit Freer was drafted to the Tennessee Titans. Nicholas Petit Freer from Ohio State. They don't have that Chase Young type of body or the Bosa kind of guy on defense that can rush the passer. They lost Javonte Jean-Baptiste in the transfer portal to Notre Dame over the offseason. They don't have necessarily the spark player that they've had in years past. Marvin Harrison Jr. may still be banged up and bruised a little bit. They have really good skill possessions.
I don't know if I'm still sold on McCord.
Exactly. They don't have a quarterback like they have in CJ Stroud or Dwayne Haskins, rest in peace, or JT Barrett or whoever. They just don't have it. They don't have as much firepower, it feels like, this year. Penn State is extremely balanced all over the field.
A good thing for Penn State this year is they avoid the double gauntlet. So they only have to really get through this one to position themselves to see kind of how it all falls and plays itself out. And in its preparation, like we said, the importance of this year, it goes a long way for what the Big Ten is going to be, for what the SEC is going to be, and how you're positioning yourself, especially in the recruiting battle in the years to come, is very important. So this is a big game for them. We'll be looking out for that. We'll be right back. Evan Bland's going to be joining us on the VIP line right after this.
Belmont Chiropractic and Novotny Nutrition and Wellness specialize in getting rid of people's pain quickly and permanently. For 31 years, they've been extremely successful with advanced techniques in pain relief using spinal adjustments and decompression, detoxification, diet and lifestyle modification, and more. They are fully equipped to handle the most seasonal athlete, weekend warrior, car accidents, strains, sprains, and more. Is there anywhere you're experiencing pain on your body, or are you fighting decreased energy and depression? Consult Belmont Chiropractic and Novotny Nutrition and Wellness first at 402-476-8619.
Agriculture is the economic engine of the Midwest. At Acres Equipment, we dedicate ourselves to making that engine run smoothly. We supply our farmers and ranchers with quality John Deere equipment, parts, and service. We also deliver the most advanced technology and precision ag strategies to help them farm today and for the future. Acres Equipment, solutions for every field.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock with A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. If you're looking for an automotive repair facility you can genuinely trust, we would be grateful for the opportunity to earn your business repairing your vehicle. We have ASE master technicians and qualified to work on a variety of vehicles from Hondas to Porsches, Jaguars to Toyotas, and Chevrolets to Fords. We pride ourselves on customer service and relationships, and we would be grateful for the opportunity to serve you. Give us a call at 402-477-4660. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
October is full of sports, with football and volleyball reaching mid-season and basketball and winter sports starting up. All the excitement of the games brings major stress, and stress causes tight muscles and pain. It's time to call The Body Shop, your place in Lincoln for all types of massages: deep tissue, hydrating, sports, Swedish, hot stone, aroma, and more. And don't forget about their couples massages. Eliminate the pain from sports watching stress today with a massage at The Body Shop at 48th and A and online at thebodyshoplincoln.com. Muchachos has been Lincoln's leader for New Mexican barbecue for a few years now, and they've expanded into Omaha. That's right, you can get all your favorites like the pipeline burrito, with 3 meats, rice, beans, queso, and crushed chips, or any of their great taco options in Lincoln or Omaha. Plus, they want to give back, as the Malachi Coleman Give-A-Rito, a 2-meat hatchback burrito, gives proceeds to the Fly Like Kai Foundation for the Lincoln foster care community. Stop by Muchachos in Lincoln at 11th and L, or in Omaha at 1258 South 13th Street.
Elway Power Sports of Lincoln is kicking off October with Can-Am side-by-side specials all month long. Are you ready to rule the terrain on a 2023 Can-Am Defender, Commander, or Maverick? You call the play and score big with rebates up to $1,500 or financing as low as 1.99% for 36 months. From an open road to the trails, there's a Can-Am side-by-side that's right for you, and Elway Power Sports of Lincoln has them all under one roof at their new 27th and I-80 location. Hurry in, the clock is running down. Offer ends October 31st, 2023. Certain conditions apply. See dealer for details.
The Southern Pecan Cake from Beatrice Bakery. They don't just let you call anything Southern, especially when it's baked right here in Nebraska. There are standards you have to meet, like a rich, decadent, moist caramel cake? Check. Bursting with too many large pecans to count? Check. Big enough to share with the whole group? Check. But delicious enough that you won't want to share? A big check on that one. The Southern Pecan Cake, the newest cake to the Beatrice Bakery lineup. Try it for yourself at Beatrice Bakery. Online at BeatriceBakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum.
At Fairway Meat Market, you're family, and as part of the family, they want to save you money on your meat and groceries. For October, it's Pork Month. Enjoy all-natural boneless pork shoulder for $1.69 per pound, fresh pork belly for $2.99 per pound, and Fairway's fresh ham loaf mix for $2.99 per pound. That's all at Fairway Meat Market in the Rockledge Square Shopping Center just south of 84th and Van Dorn. If you're not going to Memorial Stadium for a home game and don't have any travel plans for away games, there's a great place in Omaha to catch the action, the Inner Rail Food Hall. There's plenty of space. The Backstretch Bar has amazing game specials on game days. $15 Blue Moon and Bud Light pitchers, $6 margaritas, and $6 Moscow Mules. And if you're hungry, take in some of their great options from their game day pizza specials. Do football game day right in the Inner Rail Food Hall in Exarban Village in Omaha.
At Jimmy John's, we don't make sandwiches. We make the sandwich of sandwiches. We use fresh veggies because we don't hate salads. We just feel bad for them. We make our sandwiches exactly how you want because you're the one who's eating it. And we bake bread all day, every day because stale bread isn't bread. It's croutons. Sandwich history is written by the victors. Good thing we have legible handwriting. Jimmy John's, the sandwich of sandwiches. Order pickup or delivery on the app.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, expecting a slight chance of showers, otherwise decreasing cloud cover as we head throughout the day. Afternoon high should be around 69. Tonight, partly cloudy, a little breezy yet, a low of around 49. And tomorrow, mostly sunny skies return with a high of around 70. And meteorologist Kyle Hooker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Get all of your favorite restaurants delivered with VenueDelivered.com. One place for ordering delicious appetizers, refreshing salads, hot entrees, fresh sandwiches, and more. From Venue Restaurant and Lounge, Piedmont Bistro, and all Lincoln Good Sense Subs locations. Download our phone app to earn rewards on all of your carryout and delivery orders. Available on Apple and Android, just search for the Pillar Restaurants app. That's the Pillar Restaurants app. Download today.
So what's this new concept happening at 1040 O Street? There's 93.7 The Ticket, there's the Mill Coffee and Tea, and there's Grandma's Bake Shop and Beatrice Bakery? Well, yeah, it's all of those things. It's a place for the community to hang out, grab a drink and a bite, and just chill, or work, or meet, or chat, or whatever you want to do. 93.7 The Ticket, the Mill Coffee and Tea, Grandma's Bake Shop and Beatrice Bakery, all together at 1040 O Street.
Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back into On the Block. Eric Strickland, obviously, sitting to my left. Evan Bland joining us here in just a moment on the Allo VIP line. VIP line brought to you by Allo Fiber, where they understand the importance of exceptional service with local heart. All right, with that, let's go to the Allo VIP line where we're joined by our good friend Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald. Evan, Happy coming off the week after the bye. How are we feeling going into the second half of the year?
Feeling great, Nick. It's like, I think if you were to plan it out and put a bye week somewhere, like right in the middle, it's nice and tidy, 6 down, 6 to go, recharge, and ready to go.
Yeah, I think, Evan, so it's interesting. I was doing some research just earlier, and I actually released this on a tweet of Nebraska's records the rest of the year after bye weeks, and they haven't had a winning record coming out of a bye week for the rest of the season since 2014, when they went 4-3 in the remaining 7 games. I guess Nebraska has 6 games remaining here in 2023. What would you consider a successful, going maybe a little bit deeper than just making a bowl game? How would you constitute a successful second half of 2023 in year 1 of Matt Rhule?
Well, it's interesting because Matt Rhule, a few weeks ago, really went in depth about how Nebraska needs to be a fourth quarter team and finish strong and have 75 rushing yards in the fourth and all this. I think you can kind of put the season in the same sort of lens where, that last little kick of the season when you end at Wisconsin and with Iowa, like that's the thing that people are going to remember out of this season. Like, I don't think in 2 months there's going to be a lot of gnashing of teeth about what happened against Minnesota or what happened at Colorado. Like, it's going to be, how do they look finishing the season? Was their momentum going into the offseason? And so, yeah, I mean, I think 3-3 gets you to the bowl game, extend your season at least another few weeks. Like, that's the baseline. But beyond that, like, can you continue to develop an offensive identity where you're trading body blows and taking the occasional deep shot down the field? Can your defense continue to hold up and show that when you rotate this many guys, maybe the biggest payoff is still ahead with fresh legs in November? Can your special teams be an asset to your cause the rest of the way? And I think if those things come together, there's going to be some excitement. And the way that I kind of like to think of it is like, when's the last time Nebraska went into an off season where you're like, man, I wish they were still playing, as opposed to, there's kind of a sweet relief that it was over. And I think you probably got to go back to Scott Frost's first season in 2018, when they showed some promise at Ohio State and at Iowa down the stretch. And like, people kind of wanted to keep going with that team and see where. So I think if you have that feeling, Thanksgiving, the day after Thanksgiving, that like you wish things would keep going, and maybe they will with the bowl, I think that's probably the best sign that things in year 1 were a success.
So, Evan, we're midway through the week, as we just talked about the bye week. Coming into this game, you saw something out of them. Great bounce back coming out of the Michigan game, going on the road and getting a win. What is the talk around the locker room or with the staff about how to put a string of victories together and how to build upon the momentum of that wonderful win of going out to Illinois and getting it done?
Yeah, that's the big question. And Matt Rhule's doing his darndest, talking 0-0. There's always 0-0. What's next? Like, all of the mantras are really about sort of forward focused and not dwelling on what's going on. And yeah, I mean, Nebraska football has been the model of inconsistency for years. Like, the fact that they haven't won 3 straight games since 2016 tells you all that you need to know. And what I think is interesting about the Northwestern game in particular is it's really the first chance Nebraska has to show whether this team can handle some success. And typically that has not gone well for the Huskers in recent years, where maybe they look good in a game, but you just can't sustain it for whatever reason. And, this is that moment, I think, where if you're a casual fan, you expect that they're probably going to win this game by a couple of scores, and maybe they'll go up early and it'll turn out that way. But I don't think that's necessarily a given. I think this game is going to be a really interesting look into the psyche of where this team is and just how far it has come. Because again, Nebraska played decent games over the course of the last few years, but when it's come to stacking wins, when it's come to building on that, they just haven't been able to do it. So I think from that perspective, we're going to see just how effective it's been, the what's next mentality, how far that's sunk into this roster.
We're speaking to Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald. And Evan, let's look a little closer here at at Nebraska versus Northwestern on Saturday. Northwestern, a pretty disappointing run, or I should say rush defense that they have. And Nebraska, as we know, loves to run the football, especially with the quarterback. I mean, would you be more surprised if Nebraska rushes for over 300 yards, or would you be more surprised if Nebraska rushes for fewer than 100 in this one?
Probably if they ran for fewer than 100, just because of what Heinrich Haarberg brought to the table in that +1 running game, and what Anthony Grant I think can do. Now it'll be interesting because Northwestern's not dumb. They know that Nebraska, or they know that they just they're going to try to get the ball to Billy Kemp, and that beyond that you're talking about a lot of younger or unproven receivers. And so if you're Northwestern, why wouldn't you put 8 in the box and just dare Nebraska to throw the ball? And the way that Nebraska has run it as well has been sort of a bend don't break sort of unit, where it's not necessarily getting gashed. In Nebraska with it, are they going to be patient enough to convert some?
Yeah,
and then a 3rd and 3 on the same drive. Like, I think that's the really interesting part. Nebraska stay disciplined with what it does against a Northwestern team that all indications are that if you continue to do that, those yards are going to be there on the ground.
A couple more for you, Evan, before we go ahead and let you go. We're speaking to Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald here. And I guess looking at Nebraska's quarterback situation now, obviously Heinrich Haarberg, to maybe nobody's surprise or very few people's surprise, is now the starter, the official starter, while Jeff Sims is fully healthy. Heinrich Haarberg has helped lead Nebraska to a 3-1 start under his job at quarterback. And I guess my question to you is, have we seen the last of Jeff Sims playing quarterback at Nebraska?
No, I don't think so. I think, if for no other reason than the wear and tear of the position and just having to have depth at that spot, I think he'll be back at some point. It's been interesting this week. I mean, his teammates, to a man, have really been complimentary about what kind of a teammate he has been, his level of support. When Haarberg comes off the field, Sims is usually one of, if not the first guy there with a big grin to greet him. You see it in some of the videos that the football team is releasing from, its social media team. So, I think that's a guy who clearly earned the team's respect in the off season, right? He's the single digit jersey wearer. And I think that probably helps add to this idea that, he can still be a leader, even if he isn't necessarily on the field. So, I don't see a situation based on what we've seen with Haarberg that he plays himself out of the position. But again, I think, whether through injury or shaking things up from a strategic standpoint against an opponent, I think those things are all certainly in play with Sims, and we'll see how it goes. Nebraska coaches have continued to say they haven't necessarily ruled out this idea of a multi-quarterback sort of competition, but conversely, Haarberg, with the exception of the Michigan game, has continued to win games for Nebraska. So I think you probably stick with him. But yeah, I think I would imagine, based on what happens when you run the quarterback, that Nebraska is going to need some depth at that position at some point.
All right, Evan, last one before we go ahead and let you go here. Nebraska's rushing offense, traditional rushing offense, I should say, with their running backs. I guess, where are you at just overall with Nebraska's running backs? Because we've seen, obviously, Anthony Grant unfortunately put the ball on the turf. Emmett Johnson, when he was in for that short time while Anthony Grant was banged up, was even put the ball on the carpet against Illinois, unfortunately. I mean, I guess just overall, where do you kind of land with this running back room? Because I sit here and I go, oh boy, if Nebraska struggles to get the ground game going against a Wisconsin, against an Iowa, they might be in some serious trouble. And if Anthony Grant gets banged up, Emmett Johnson hasn't necessarily had that much in-game experience. And so I guess just overall thoughts on the running back room and where you land on that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Like, before the season, that was a clear position of strength for Nebraska. I mean, to the point to where with all the offseason portal additions, they pretty much said, no, we're good. Running back, they liked the depth. And then with the injuries that they've had and the fumble situation, especially with Anthony Grant, it's become more precarious for sure. I still think, Grant's that guy. Certainly he's going to get a chance to prove himself, that he's maybe left some of those ball security issues in Illinois for this next time out. But then beyond that, you don't have a ton of options. I mean, Emmett Johnson, they like longer term. Joshua Fleeks, we really didn't see much of since that big run against Michigan. He could still play a factor in a pinch. And then they like Quentin Ives longer term, but I think he's still in a spot as a freshman where he's learning the playbook and you can't really ask too much. I think, when you talk about the traditional run game, to me, it's just as much a conversation about the offensive line. And when you look at that offense as a whole and all the injuries that have taken place all over the field, really the exception, knock on wood, has been that offensive line. And those 5 guys have been out there. They've even started to bring back Teddy Prohaska on the left side. And so, I mean, that's a group of guys who have many college football seasons under their belt. Those guys are physically developed. They know what they're doing. So I think those are the guys that you're relying on. And then, again, you hope the ball security issues resolve themselves. But I think that line has proven that based on how this team is made up as a defensive-minded team, on the offensive side, rely on those big guys up front, get the yards that you need to do. And then, as Matt Rule said, Nebraska is comfortable choking out games. If they're up by a score late, kill the clock, rely on your defense, go home happy. And so I think that's probably where they are with that.
Evan, it's certainly going to be interesting going forward here. Nebraska, big one on Saturday. I think a lot of Husker fans are ready and pretty anxious to see the product on Saturday, just because coming out of a bye week, Nebraska hasn't had that great of success coming out of a bye week. And I think Husker fans are feeling pretty optimistic about maybe what the second half can bring to Nebraska.
No doubt. You beat Northwestern, and then you have a pretty notable volleyball match that night. Could be a good day.
There he is, Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald. Evan, we appreciate your time as always on Wednesdays. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys.
There he is, Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald. Good stuff as always. Yeah, it just feels like there's a good amount of optimism surrounding this Husker program going into Northwestern, whether that's they feel good about one game at a time and they feel like they can knock off or beat Northwestern under interim head coach David Braun. Mm-hmm. And maybe with a banged up quarterback, Ben Bryant, the Cincinnati transfer, not necessarily going to play for sure on Saturday. And they might have to go to their backup quarterback that struggled at times against an FCS team in Howard. And so there's a chance for Nebraska to, show that, hey, assert their dominance, kind of. Let's be honest.
I think you want to get confidence. This is a big confidence game for this team. And
Absolutely.
And the schedule is working to their favor, and you've got to take advantage of it when it's working to your favor like that.
Absolutely. All right, Stricky, let's go ahead and head to break. We got a couple questions off the text line that I think we definitely need to get to. McGee asked an interesting question on the text line, so we can dive into that when we come back. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to On the Block. Nick Sainert here, Eric Strickland there. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
In downtown Lincoln. If you're looking for an automotive repair facility you can genuinely trust, we would be grateful for the opportunity to earn your business repairing your vehicle. We have ASE master technicians and qualified to work on a variety of vehicles from Hondas to Porsches, Jaguars to Toyotas, and Chevrolets to Fords. We pride ourselves on customer service and relationships, and we would be grateful for the opportunity to serve you. Give us a call at 402-477-4660. A1 Automotive. Always honest answers.
If you're not going to Memorial Stadium for a home game and don't have any travel plans for away games, there's a great place in Omaha to catch the action, the Inner Rail Food Hall. There's plenty of space. The Backstretch Bar has amazing game specials on game days. $15 Blue Moon and Bud Light pitchers, $6 margaritas, and $6 Moscow Mules. And if you're hungry, take in some of their great options from their game day pizza specials. Do football game day right in the Inner Rail Food Hall in Exarban Village in Omaha.
The Southern Pecan Cake from Beatrice Bakery. They don't just let you call anything Southern, especially when it's baked right here in Nebraska. There are standards you have to meet, like a rich, decadent, moist caramel cake? Check. Bursting with too many large pecans to count? Check. Big enough to share with the whole group? Check. But delicious enough that you won't want to share? A big check on that one. The Southern Pecan Cake, the newest cake to the Beatrice Bakery lineup. Try it for yourself at Beatrice Bakery. Online at BeatriceBakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum.
Okay, it's time to sell the house. How do we even begin to choose from the hundreds of realtors in town?
Easy. We make a pros list.
You mean a pros and cons list?
No, just a pros list. We need someone with pro photography to showcase the house in the best possible way, pro marketing to make sure we get maximum exposure, pro negotiations so we know we get the best price.
This is one of those times where you already know the right answer, isn't it?
You know it is. Ben Bleicher and Professional Realty Group.
Contact Ben Bleicher and the team at Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway's Home Services Ambassador. Online at prg-ne.com.
Tune in to the Teammates Mentoring Hour each Wednesday from 6 to 7 p.m. on 93.7 The Ticket. Hear stories from the program started by Tom and Nancy Osborne and how it's changed mentors and mentees' lives and how you can be involved. The Teammates Mentoring Hour, Wednesday nights from 6 to 7 o'clock on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Get rid of pesky critters once and for all with Bats to Rats. Their expert team is here to help you reclaim your home. No more sleepless nights caused by crawling critters or flapping wings. Bats to Rats ensures a safe environment for every family member. Check the website at batstoRats.com for amazing offers, and if you mention this ad, you'll receive $10 off your initial inspection cost. Don't allow uninvited guests to take over your home. Trust Bats to Rats for a peaceful and rodent-free living space.
Get all of your favorite restaurants delivered with VenueDelivered.com. One place for ordering delicious appetizers, refreshing salads, hot entrees, fresh sandwiches, and more. From Venue Restaurant and Lounge, Piedmont Bistro, and all Lincoln Good Sense Subs locations. Download our phone app to earn rewards on all of your carryout and delivery orders. Available on Apple and Android, just search for the Pillar Restaurants app. That's the Pillar Restaurants app. Download today.
It's not often a man wakes up and says, "I feel the best I have in years." We hear this all the time at Limitless Mail, and it can happen to you when you go to Limitless Mail and get a blood test to see what your body is missing. That's how simple it is. Schedule a free consult with Limitless Mail. Discuss your symptoms. Do the blood test. If your lab results say you're low in testosterone, we can fix that. Age is just a number. You can feel your best again. Just ask Limitless Mail.
Agriculture is the economic engine of the Midwest. At Acres Equipment, we dedicate ourselves to making that engine run smoothly. We supply our farmers and ranchers with quality John Deere equipment, parts, and service. We also deliver the most advanced technology and precision ag strategies to help them farm today and for the future. Acres Equipment, solutions for every field.
Is your backyard ready for fun with friends and family this fall? GE Landscape Supply has pavers and boulders, which are a great accent for any landscaping project. And you can find them at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials. And don't forget, they deliver anywhere, nearby or far away. Stop by at 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. Go to GELandscapeSupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627.
Are you tired of living in pain? It's time to take control. At Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, we're your one-stop shop for expert care in Lincoln. From broken bones to complex reconstruction, our skilled team will help you get back on track. Visit prairieortho.com today and discover why we're the trusted choice for thousands of patients. Don't let pain hold you back. Take the first step towards a better, pain-free life with Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, where healing begins. Call 402-489-4700.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, expecting a slight chance of showers, otherwise decreasing cloud cover as we head throughout the day. Afternoon high should be around 69. Tonight, partly cloudy, a little breezy yet, a low of around 49. And tomorrow, mostly sunny skies return with a high of around 70. And meteorologist Kyle Hooker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
You're counting on your team to win, so why not prove it? By placing your bets at Warhorse Sportsbook. Their win is your win. Put your money where your mouth is on nearly every sporting event. Use the Warhorse app to check odds and build your bets before placing your wagers in person at Warhorse Casino, including live in-game betting. No bets, no glory. Wagers may only be placed on Nebraska-based teams when played outside the state of Nebraska. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call 1-833-BET-OVER.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We're back on the block. E. Strick and Nick here. We're going to get into the text line as we finish out this last segment. We only got a few minutes before we got to get to another break. The second half is going to be phenomenal, though, because we're really going to dig into some topics on the second half. Going to get into quarterbacks, how they're faring in college football, as well as we're going to talk a little bit about Jimbo Fisher and what's going on down in Texas A&M. I think that's an interesting topic to discuss as well. But at this point, Nick, which text you want to get to first?
Let's do McGee's real quick. Can you contribute the slow start every year for Nebraska to missing out on bowl game practices? And my off the cuff, without truly thinking deep on it, is no. Because you have how many months in between to get your team ready to go? Like there's a lot of other teams that have missed bowl games and start out just fine. Like I know everybody's tired of hearing it. Colorado was the worst team in college football last year. They went through one of the biggest changes, wholesale changes in college football history. And I know they're not playing very well right now, but they didn't have a slow start.
Right.
And certainly, I mean, maybe they played a pretty bad team in TCU, maybe, but it's still a Power 5 opponent. I think
at their home.
Yeah, I think it's you don't want to make an excuse. I think are bowl game practices big for like the development of guys? Sure, yeah, that's fine, but are they instrumental or the reason that a team doesn't have a quick start the following season? No, because I think there's a lot of new pieces, and frankly, there's plenty of time, I think, to get your guys ready to go for the next year.
Yeah, you've seen teams, like you said, outside of Colorado. We can just look at other teams.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen teams that don't make a bowl game, that they come back and just there's some aspect of their program that has made an adjustment. They've gotten a better quarterback. Maybe somebody came in and the adjustments were made, and they happen to kind of put together a string of wins that kind of gets them out of the bottom of the barrel of whatever their conference is. I mean, I've seen it happen with SMU.
Yeah.
I've seen it. Sometimes you'll have Texas Tech that'll pull something out of their hat, and they've had a bad season. But so there's teams out there like that. You know what I mean? So I can't really say that that's the case. I think that's tough to quantify. I think that was a response I get. That's something tough to quantify. So I don't know if that's that fits for me.
I would also say, like, there's a lot of changes within programs, within every program, right? You might have a bowl game to where guys are able to have the extra practices or whatever. But I also think that then during the offseason, you're going to have change in coaches. You're going to have change in personnel.
New OCs,
you're gonna bring in guys that did not play in a bowl game the previous year. That you're gonna bring in guys to a team that didn't play in a bowl game last year. You're gonna bring in guys that did play in a bowl game last year. I think there's a lot that goes into it, and it speaks to, I guess, what Matt Rule is talking about, taking it 1 week at a time or 1 day at a time and whatever you want to talk about, because you can't bank on those 25 extra practices or 21 or however many practices there are. You can't bank on those to then get you ready for the next year. You have to take it one step at a time through spring ball and make spring ball productive. You have to make fall practice productive, and you have to get ready for whatever opponent you're facing that following year. Because if coaches rely on work that they did 8-9 months ago, or 9 months, before the season begins, then that's when you're going to start slow. I think it's the opposite, is that when if you choose to rely on work that, and this goes into a lot of things, if you choose to rely on something that you did 9 months ago, and without the ability to adapt, without the willingness to make adjustments, without the ability to make adjustments, whether that's personnel, whether that's scheme, whether that's coaching, then you're going to fall behind. So I think it's actually the opposite, is that, which makes it back to McGee's point. Like there's no excuse not to start fast, or there's no excuse to allow slow starts out of the gate. Nebraska just has struggled with it.
Yeah, it's been a major problem with the program.
And that's where it's a coaching.
5 years,
That's where it's a coaching thing. I think it's a coaching thing, because there's a lot of lack of discipline in those first couple games. You think back to the Scott Frost years, and it's procedure penalties, right? And part of that,
like discipline stuff, right?
Things like that are not necessarily because you've had too many, or more practices than somebody else, or fewer practices than another program in the last calendar year. I think it's more so you're allowing it to happen at practice in fall and in the spring.
So in essence, would you say then teams in some form can take on the essence of what their leader is? I believe that's the case.
Yeah.
I think that happens in business. I think as CEOs, the organization will take on the same work ethic, the same drive, the same passion, the same desires for success in most parts, and in most cases, if they don't, they get rid of them, and it's still the same thing. It's still a breeding of a culture, and so I'm not going to say anything, because I don't know any internal things with regards to Scott Frost. But I think when you hear stories like, top level recruits come in town and none of they're just not being treated well. So you see those type of situations, and I think that's where you kind of have to have a little pause and say, maybe this is.
Well, it goes back to the whole adage of, like, if the head coach isn't being held to an expectation or being held accountable, how can you expect him? Why should you allow him to hold other people accountable?
Yeah.
When they see somebody that they're supposed to be looking up to slacking off, but then that person that's slacking off is saying, hey, don't slack off, you're being somewhat of a hypocrite, and you're not allowing progress to be made. You're hindering progress rather than aiding to it. All right. Well, that's hour number one. Went by zooming quick.
Zooming quick. We're going to get over into the second half, and I think it's going to get really interesting. Some of the discussions we're going to get into. Sutter Heyman text line is going to be open to you, 402-464-5685, and we'll look forward to hearing from you and have discussions on the next side of this commercial.
You're counting on your team to win, so why not prove it? By placing your bets at Warhorse Sportsbook. Their win is your win. Put your money where your mouth is on nearly every sporting event. Use the Warhorse app to check odds and build your bets before placing your wagers in person at Warhorse Casino, including live in-game betting. No bets, no glory. Wagers may only be placed on Nebraska-based teams when played outside the state of Nebraska. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call 1-833-BET-OVER.
At Jimmy John's, we don't make sandwiches. We make the sandwich of sandwiches. We use fresh veggies because we don't hate salads. We just feel bad for them. We make our sandwiches exactly how you want because you're the one who's eating it. And we bake bread all day, every day, because stale bread isn't bread. It's croutons. Sandwich history is written by the victors. Good thing we have legible handwriting. Jimmy John's, the sandwich of sandwiches. Order pickup or delivery on the app.
The Southern Pecan Cake from Beatrice Bakery. They don't just let you call anything Southern, especially when it's baked right here in Nebraska. But there are standards you have to meet, like a rich, decadent, moist caramel cake? Check. Bursting with too many large pecans to count? Check. Big enough to share with the whole group? Check. But delicious enough that you won't want to share? A big check on that one. The Southern Pecan Cake, the newest cake to the Beatrice Bakery lineup. Try it for yourself at Beatrice Bakery. Online at BeatriceBakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum.
Is your backyard ready for fun with friends and family this fall? GE Landscape Supply has pavers and boulders, which are a great accent for any landscaping project. And you can find them at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials. And don't forget,
They deliver anywhere, nearby or far away. Stop by at 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. Go to GELandscapesupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627.
Muchachos has been Lincoln's leader for New Mexican barbecue for a few years now, and they've expanded into Omaha. That's right, you can get all your favorites like the pipeline burrito with 3 meats, rice, beans, queso, and crushed chips, or any of their great taco options in Lincoln or Omaha. Plus, they want to give back, as the Malachi Coleman Give-A-Rito, a 2-meat hatchback burrito, gives proceeds to the Fly Like Kai Foundation for the Lincoln foster care community. Stop by Muchachos in Lincoln at 11th and L or in Omaha at 1258 South 13th Street.
Experience the Landmark difference with the next level of dealer support. Landmark, your local John Deere dealer, continually works to have parts on hand the first time you walk in the door. Our internal route system means we can get the parts to you typically same or next day to keep you up and running. At Landmark, we understand time is money. Get more uptime with our after-hours parts and service support on the phone or in the field. Our sales, precision ag, parts, and service teams are ready to serve you this planting season. Stop by your local Landmark today to experience the Landmark difference.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and man, of the October incentives get better. You won't want to miss this. Happening right now at Koppel, you have 0% financing or $6,500 off MSRP on select new half-ton crew cab pickups. Yes, you heard right. Happening right now until the end of the month. 0% financing or $6,500 off sticker price. Those incentives are the best we've seen this entire year. Hurry on in while supplies last. Just take that short money-saving drive down 144th Street or check us out online at KoppelCars.com. You'll be glad you did. All offers include trade-in bonus and with roof credit.
Yet another Nebraska winter is looming, and you know you're going to need tires on your vehicle. Don't fret. They are all on sale now during the October Spectacular event at Graham Tire Company. Buy 3 Kumho tires and get the 4th tire free with the purchase of an install package. Save big on Goodyear, Hankook, Nokian, and more. Big rebates on select Goodyear tires that will double when you use your Goodyear credit card. It's their biggest sale of the year, and it's happening now. GrahamTireLincoln.com, getting you to the places that matter most.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now, they've raised wages again, and they're hiring for production operators at $24.62 per hour, which grows to $28.97 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $33.36 per hour, with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates, with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or apply, go to continentaljobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
This is where it happens. Long hikes with friends, kayaking adventures with family, more horseback riding, zip line gliding, rock face climbing, hammock camping fun than you could ever imagine. And it's all outdoors, amongst the trees and across the prairie, here beneath Nebraska skies. Plan an outing today at yournebraskaadventure.com. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Elway Power Sports of Lincoln is kicking off October with Can-Am side-by-side specials all month long. Are you ready to rule the terrain on a 2023 Can-Am Defender, Commander, or Maverick? You call the play and score big with rebates up to $1,500 or financing as low as 1.99% for 36 months. From an open road to the trails, there's a Can-Am side-by-side that's right for you, and Elway Power Sports of Lincoln has them all under one roof at their new 27th and I-80 location. Hurry in, the clock is running down. Offer ends October 31st, 2023. Certain conditions apply. See dealer for details.
College football in Lincoln, America. The time has come. Start your game day off right with the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show. Join the ticket crew as they bring you all the coverage you need to get you ready for the action. It's the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show, powered by Sunbelt Rentals. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group of BHHS Ambassador, Select Plumbing, Jimmy John's, Lincoln Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits, Fleet Feet, Yours Cheese Spread on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. This is On the Block with Strick and Austin. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland.
Strickland for three! And you're going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
Middle school basketball coaching legend and Duke basketball shooting coach in his mind, Austin Orman. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Brought to you by Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. This is On the Block with Strick and Austin.
On the Block, it's the second hour here, 2 to 4 every day, Wednesdays. Shout out to Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Oh, it was so good last week. Thank you guys for the wonderful plate that you put together for me. Sweet Southern Heat did it, and did it again.
There you go.
Yeah, man. I want to talk about the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
You know, so just some of the top tier quarterbacks, kind of where they fare, how you feel about them, what are maybe some grades. We'd love to get your grading scale on some of the quarterbacks that we're going to talk about as well. I just think that it's interesting that you can see that some of these teams have definitely benefited from great quarterback play, or even way better than what they had previous. And so I definitely think it's an interesting conversation to get into.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I mean, as being who I am, I scrolled all the way down to the bottom at this list of quarterbacks, and unfortunately, there's some notable names on there, right? I mean, Jeff Sims is towards the bottom, unfortunately, of this list in terms of grades. Some of the other quarterbacks that Nebraska was reportedly looking at are at the bottom of this list, right? And a lot of these coaches, I would like to say also, are under first year of their new deal.
Yeah,
first year of their new spot. And this whole entire hour is going to tie themselves together, because we're about to talk in about 20 minutes or so about Jimbo Fisher. And somebody that's utilized the transfer portal quite a bit is Jimbo. Somebody that's also gotten NIL deals for a lot of their players is Jimbo Fisher. And like, for example, Strick, I'm just going to go to this one first.
Yeah.
Peyton Thorne at Auburn. Right? Now, obviously, this is less of a Michigan State deal and more of an Auburn deal, but Auburn hires somebody pretty controversial in Hugh Freeze. After everything he did at Ole Miss, he kind of got the kick start at, or, the refresher at Liberty. And then he gets a Power 5 job in the SEC at Auburn. Heck of a jump up. And he chooses to bring in a late quarterback edition in Peyton Thorne. Well,
who struggled to me.
Peyton Thorne, he wasn't very good in the Big Ten. He wasn't very good in the Big Ten. There was so much made back in the game that Nebraska played. What was that? 2021, potentially, when they had Kenneth Walker. So 2021, when Michigan State and Peyton Thorne, when they played Nebraska, Peyton Thorne hadn't thrown an interception to that point in that season. Well, they threw one against Nebraska in that game. Now, one thing about Peyton Thorne, here's the write-up on him. In 4 games against Power 5 competition, Peyton Thorne is averaging 80 passing yards per game with 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions.
That is
bad. The Tigers are off to an
I could do better than that on freaking Madden.
The Tigers are off to an 0-3 start in SEC play. Think about how people are viewing Hugh Freeze right now. Oh, they lost. They screwed up that hire. Man, they messed that one up. And it's true.
Because it can get like tied to you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Though these type of situations can be tied to you. This is why I think, Matt Rule, you got to give him credit for making the move that they made, going after, I don't care what you say. The guy's winning games. He's a winner.
I was just going to say,
go ahead.
You give more credit to Matt Rule for being willing to make the change.
Yeah.
Then, think about the conversation we're having right now, guys. If Matt Rule sticks with Jeff Sims, if they came out this week and said, all right, Jeff Sims is your starting quarterback. Well, think about that response from the fan base. And then if Nebraska ends up losing a couple games with Jeff Sims, like the thought there is going to be, man, Matt Rule tied his hip. Exactly what Nebraska fans said about Adrian Martinez with Scott Frost.
Yeah.
Scott Frost tied Adrian Martinez to his hip, and that's where they were at. They were loyal to a fault. That can ruin a coach.
Yeah, because then you don't do what Penn State. This is why I think that's a great formula. You have Clifford that's there. You say what you will about him. You might not like him, but the man can still play. He did have a skill set. He just couldn't win.
Yeah.
but you're bringing along that next guy.
Exactly.
And that's what Nebraska faltered at. I don't think we ever really had a next guy.
Well, and that's
because if Adrian Martinez go down,
yeah.
If Casey Thompson goes down, there was never really a next guy.
Well, and that was the concern coming into this year, right? Evan talked about it. It was kind of interesting because Evan talked about it when we were talking to him, Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald, about how at the beginning of the year, and obviously this is a different position, but running backs, right? It shifted because it was like, all right, A.J. Allen entered the portal. We were disappointed because A.J. Allen ended up going to Miami, but it was like, all right, Nebraska, it's a crowded running back room. They have Ramir Johnson, Gabe Irvin, Anthony Grant, and they have a couple really interesting young guys. So it was like, yeah, it's a loss, but maybe it's not as big of a loss as maybe we need to worry about, right? And the staff felt as if they didn't need to worry about going out and getting another body in the running back room either.
Yeah.
When you look at the quarterback situation, right? And even, I mean, frankly, I thought that with losing so many quarterbacks, Nebraska, once they brought in Jeff Sims, had 6 scholarship quarterbacks on their roster.
Mm-hmm.
Then you lose Logan Smothers.
Mm-hmm.
Then you lose Richard Torres.
Who's not doing too bad.
No.
Logan Smothers.
And then you lose Casey Thompson, obviously. So now you're down to 3 scholarship quarterbacks. And you're sitting here going, okay, it's a guy in Jeff Sims that hasn't played all that well at Georgia Tech. He's played a lot, hasn't played all that well. It's a guy in Heinrich Harburg that we kind of know what his situation has been like at Nebraska. And then it's Chubba Purdy, who in the limited experience that we saw was not playing well either.
Didn't look good at all.
Didn't look good.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a little concern there. And I was obviously, honestly, I was in that boat of go get another one because I didn't think that they would take Heinrich Harburg and or Chubba Purdy seriously.
Right.
And so now we have this, we went into the season going, man, if Jeff Sims goes down, that gap between the starting quarterback and the backup quarterback just feels just so wide. The gap feels so large for those two guys. And at the end of the day, Nebraska got lucky that they're figuring out a way to win games with Heinrich Harburg.
Yeah.
Because in years past, Scott Frost never really gave Tristan Gebbia a chance. Scott Frost probably shouldn't have recruited Luke McCaffrey as a quarterback. And frankly, in other years, they obviously move on from Adrian Martinez, or Adrian moves on from Nebraska. They bring in Casey Thompson. They never really gave Logan Smothers an opportunity to be successful either.
Yeah.
And so you look at just this gap that's always been there for Nebraska's quarterbacks, and it's always felt so wide because then you also watch them play. And like Chubba Purdy against Michigan last year was atrocious.
Yeah, it was ugly.
Is that Chubba Purdy's fault? Maybe not. But that's kind of the feeling that we have and the view of that we have of Chubba Purdy because that's the only time we've seen him play in a significant game.
So where do you grade it? Where would you grade it if you were to do so?
In terms of how the staff's handled the room, or
I'm
Jeff
saying,
Sims.
I'm saying, how would you grade the Sims? But on top of that, we look at Peyton Thorne, who left out. How would you grade those two? Just based on what we have.
Peyton
right
Thorne
now?
is F.
You got an F for Peyton Thorne?
F for Peyton Thorne. Jeff Sims, I would go with around a D plus. And the only reason I would go more with Jeff Sims than I did with Peyton Thorne is because we've seen, even though in those 2 games, we've seen his ability to maybe make a play. We've seen the agility and the explosiveness that Jeff Sims does hold. And that's why it's like part of me wanted to see more. Like, I wish Nebraska would be able to grow Jeff Sims. Like, I wish that they would be able to have a guy to where they didn't ask Jeff Sims to be Superman, but they had to. And he just wasn't it didn't fit his role on what he was successful at. I look at Jeff Sims and I'm like, dang, I wish I would have seen Jeff Sims against Louisiana Tech.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen.
I want to see him,
even for a series or a quarter.
Yeah, it's just a larger sample size. I just feel like it's so early to write off Jeff Sims. Were the first 2 games bad? Absolutely. And does Heinrich Harburg deserve to start? Yes. But I feel like it's such a small sample size against Minnesota and Colorado when, frankly, nothing was going right for Nebraska's offense.
Yeah.
It was not just Jeff Sims that was going wrong for Nebraska's offense. There was a lot that was needing to be fixed.
There's no question. The offensive line.
Oh my gosh, a lot of stuff.
Turnovers.
A lot of
fumbles
stuff.
everywhere,
And so has Heinrich Haarberg became in and been a pleasant sight? Absolutely. He's been able to hold on to the football, and that's a big part of it. It doesn't mean I don't think I don't wish that we could see a little more Jeff Sims.
Yeah.
But we have to make you have to make the change. You have to, because you don't have time just to waste.
You don't have time to waste. Let's turn it over. Now that we know that Wisconsin has made their shift from power running to an air raid style of offense, the SMU transfer, who started actually his career at Oklahoma, which is crazy. I would talk about that one, but I think that's a good move for them. Oklahoma's finally figured it out that Dylan Gabriel is very capable at the position.
Strick, once again, sorry to interrupt you, buddy. Once again, that shows when you have the ability to, and this involves having a supporting cast. Like when you have the ability to bring in a guy that's going to be there for longer than just one season, it can benefit you way more than it can hurt you.
Yeah.
Like Bo Nix at Oregon has been there multiple years. Michael Penix at Washington, been there multiple years. Dylan Gabriel at Oklahoma. Oklahoma's whooping teams right now.
Yeah.
And Brent Venables, who had, a 6-6 year last year, they got a couple nice wins last year. And frankly, like in year 2, they have it back to where we expected Oklahoma to be if Lincoln Riley was still the coach. And they're just playing much better defense, by the way, also.
Yeah, and so with him only averaging under 200 yards, I just can't get in. When you're talking about an air raid style of offense, you're supposed to be putting balls downfield. I mean, so to only be there, I don't see it grading out very well. I think DJ Uiagalelei has broken a similar mold. Similar, very. I think to me, he kind of. I'm not going to say he's the Jalen Hurts-esque. Jalen Hurts-esque, but I would say his impact to that program is hugely significant from where they were last year to where they are now. I mean, it's literally expanded what the Pac-12 as far as their strength to me, and it's overwhelmed how good they are when you're looking up and down the Pac-12.
Well, I'll be honest. Like Oregon State found a really good coach in Jonathan Smith, who it's his first head coaching job. And it ends up being in a place like Oregon State where he's not going to be able to ask for a ton of money, and he's not going to necessarily need a ton of money. I think he's getting paid a little over $3 million now after his extension, but when he signed, he was getting paid around $2 million, which was pretty conservative for a head coach at the Power 5 level. Even at that point, he got hired the same year Scott Frost got hired here at Nebraska in 2018. And so you look at the consistent building of Jonathan Smith at Oregon State. He's got this surrounding cast, and he had a decent quarterback in the last few years, but then they're able to take advantage of the transfer portal. DJ Uiagalelei somewhat gets just passed up and overlooked at Clemson. He struggled, and then you pair the struggles at Clemson with, hey, we have a 5-star quarterback in Cade Klubnik behind you waiting in the wings. Well, then that makes the change a little bit easier for Clemson, and the ability to say, hey, we're just going to move on from you. Makes it a little bit easier to do on your conscience when you know you have a 5-star behind him. So they move on from Uiagalelei, and then he hits the transfer portal and says, you know what, I want to go back closer to home anyway. He went to St. John Bosco High School in California. Well, Oregon State's obviously on the West Coast, and it's a lot closer to home. And so he moves to Oregon State, and he now has put them over the top. I think he only has 4 INTs this year. He's been able to hold on to the football quite a bit. And I think 2 of those interceptions came in one game early on in the non-conference slate. And so it's so fascinating to see like the Pac-12, because you look at the Big Ten Conference and how bad the quarterbacks are right now.
Yeah.
But then you look at a conference like the Pac-12 that have hit on some really good quarterbacks that have found the right scheme fit. And you wonder, man, right now, a lot of people are paying attention to the Pac-12. And yes, people are paying attention to the Big Ten, but man, it makes your conference a lot more exciting when you have playmakers at quarterback.
One last one, or one, maybe 2 of them, but the one that I'm also have taken a little interest in is former Wisconsin quarterback Graham Mertz, who is probably having his best season
Yeah.
You know, he's got Florida right now at 5-2. Started off, had a very slow start. Didn't look very good. Looked very Graham Mertz-esque.
Yeah.
Like looked like himself at Wisconsin.
Yeah. And he was.
And
bad
I'm
at
sure Wisconsin right now would feel excellent if he would have stayed the way he's playing.
Well,
down
it's
there
funny.
in the SEC
Wisconsin
right now,
brought
so.
in 4 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
People forget that. Wisconsin brought in 3 or 4 quarterbacks. They brought in Tanner Mordecai, one of the most experienced guys that's thrown for over 7,000 yards in his career. Then they also bring in, and he's thrown like 30 some, no, maybe it was 70 touchdowns, over 3,500 passing yards, 70 touchdowns in his career. That's Tanner Mordecai. But then they also bring in Nick Evers, a quarterback, a transfer from Oklahoma, and they brought in one other guy as well. Like completely revamped and rebuilt that quarterback room from the ground up, and it's not working. And then they bring in Phil Longo, the offensive coordinator from North Carolina that likes to throw the ball. He also ran it at times with Javonte Williams in North Carolina. But Wisconsin is in a weird position because they don't have the best wide receivers right now or supporting cast for that quarterback. But they have 2 really good running backs, but they want to throw the ball. And so they're in this weird area to where they don't necessarily know what they want to do on offense right now, which is making it tough on Tanner Mordecai because they don't have guys that can take the top off of a defense like they did at SMU.
Absolutely. What's your thoughts on Sam Hartman, who was a huge upgrade?
I love Sam Hartman.
You feeling him?
I love Sam Hartman a lot.
Yeah, I mean, listen. Shout out to Xavier Watts too.
Yeah,
who is getting busy at the safety, like
National Player of the Week.
You know what I mean? Shout out to him too. Former Omaha Burke standout at the wide receiver position. By the way,
yeah, he made the switch. He made the switch at Notre Dame.
Bulked up a little bit, got really strong. Benefited very well from his catching abilities. Got a couple interceptions in the last game. So shout out to him. But Sam Hartman, great talent over there. I think he grades pretty high.
Well, and Notre Dame, here's the thing. So what's one thing Sam Hartman, why he wanted to leave Wake Forest was that he wanted to play in a system that was going to translate well to the NFL. He could have went to the NFL last year, but unfortunately Wake Forest played that air raid type of system to where he wasn't necessarily under center a whole lot. Well, now a more traditional NFL style with the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. You have a really good running back in Audric Estime. You have
big boy.
You have a couple of really good wide receivers. You have a nice tight end replacing Michael Mayer from last year for Notre Dame. But he's now under center. He's running play action and like traditional play action passes where he's rolling out. Like he just didn't have that a whole lot at Wake Forest. And so now he took the gamble, came back to college or stayed in college for another year, developed, transferred to a place that's going to fit the system that he's going to eventually play in the NFL. And now he's been
shining.
He's been working out really well for Notre Dame. And Notre Dame has now, I mean, here's the deal. This is the first true quarterback that Notre Dame has had in what feels like a long time. It's not an Ian Book. It's not who's the one from the transfer from Wisconsin that they had? Hornibrook. Not Hornibrook. There was somebody else that transferred to Notre Dame from Wisconsin. Jack Cohn. It's not Jack Cohn.
Great memory because I sure forgot about him.
It's not Jack Cohn. It's not Ian Book. I mean, like this is a true quarterback. He was the number 1 transfer portal quarterback in the portal, and he's done just an exceptional job fitting into that Notre Dame offense.
Last one before we go to break. Say what you will about this. I still say he grades high, anywhere from an A- to a B+, which is Shedeur Sanders. And the reason I say this is you're not talking about a Power 5 jump. You're not talking about a Group of 5 jump. You're talking about a SWAC jump to a Power 5 school in what is shaping out to be one of the toughest conferences right now in college football. The young man shown he can win. He's shown he can handle himself in the clutch. Even in overtime, showed he can get the job done.
Yeah,
just just came up short and not always to his fault.
Yeah,
has good talent in the wide receiver position, but he takes care of the ball. Sometimes he gets into trouble with holding the ball a little bit too long, taking sacks, thinking he can get out of trouble. But I still think for the most part, he's reading, he's making the right throw, and he's dropping them on a dime. So I think he grades pretty high.
Well, I would agree. And I wonder, I don't have the answer to this. I would be curious to see, right? Most of the time with transfer portal quarterbacks, they're going in under a new coach, under a new system, under a new identity, potentially. I wonder if it's easier to go to a new place, despite the jump in competition, easier to go to a new place or smoother transition when there's a lot of similar things, right? Obviously, Sean Lewis wasn't the offensive coordinator at Jackson State, but what they wanted to do on offense was similar at Jackson State, right?
Right.
Shedeur Sanders was one of the focal points, one that was the main guy at Jackson State with Travis Hunter. Well, that doesn't change at Colorado. They're still playing that little two-man game at Colorado the same way they did at Jackson State. So I wonder if that aided in the transition to make it smooth as possible for a Shedeur Sanders. But I agree with you. Despite Colorado maybe hitting some speed bumps, he's played really well this year. And you can say what you want about the at halftime posting the NIL tag. Like, am I a huge fan of him flashing his Rolex? Like, no, I'm not.
No.
But also, there's also some truth to it of when you can back it up, go do your thing. When you can back it up, go do your thing. And to this point, individually speaking,
I low-key had some confidence at that level.
Individually speaking, he's been able to back it up for the most part. But now that's not the most important thing. People are going to come at us and say that's not the most important thing. It's not individual performance. Well, I understand that, but when you're trying to make the NFL, you can be 2-10, but if you're an NFL prospect, you're an NFL prospect.
I mean, listen, let's just be real about it. In low key, Joe Burrow had that same type of confidence to an extent, right? You throw the cigar, you go with the Cigar Joe, and just different things on that level. He should have got an NIL for cigars, but nonetheless, man, I think that's good stuff. I mean, there's more we definitely could have got to. You guys on the Sutter Heyman text line as well, hit us up, and we're gonna maybe hit a couple of them. Some of you guys went really in on some things. We probably won't be able to get to all of it, but we appreciate you guys for doing so. We'll come back and we'll talk about Jimbo Fisher and what's going on down in Texas A&M when we get back right here on The Block.
It's not often a man wakes up and says, I feel the best I have in years. We hear this all the time at Limitless Mail, and it can happen to you when you go to Limitless Mail and get a blood test to see what your body is missing. That's how simple it is. Schedule a free consult with Limitless Mail. Discuss your symptoms. Do the blood test. If your lab results say you're low in testosterone, we can fix that. Age is just a number. You can feel your best again. Just ask Limitless Mail.
At Fairway Meat Market, you're family, and as part of the family, they want to save you money on your meat and groceries. For October, it's Pork Month. Enjoy all-natural boneless pork shoulder for $169 per pound, fresh pork belly for $2.99 per pound, and Fairway's fresh ham loaf mix for $2.99 per pound. That's all at Fairway Meat Market in the Rockledge Square Shopping Center, just south of 84th and Van Dorn.
Hi, it's Charlie Stone, and here with me is Andy Goodyear, General Manager of Honda of Lincoln. Andy, I know the new Honda sales are going really good right now at Honda of Lincoln, and with that, a lot of fresh trade-ins are coming in. Can you tell our listeners about your pre-owned selection?
I'm happy to, Charlie. Like you said, with new Honda sales going very good, we have a lot of fresh trade-ins coming in daily, and not just Hondas. We have just about every maker model you can imagine, with over 100 pre-owned and certified pre-owned to choose from, and prices starting at just $5,900.
Wow, what about financing?
We have financing as low as 3.29% APR on certified Accords and CRV.
Thanks again, Andy. People love the selection and great service at Honda of Lincoln. Maybe it's time you come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business. 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and man, of the October incentives get better. You won't want to miss this. Happening right now at Koppel, you have 0% financing or $6,500 off MSRP on select new half-ton crew cab pickups. Yes, you heard right. Happening right now until the end of the month. 0% financing financing or $6,500 off sticker price. Those incentives are the best we've seen this entire year. Hurry on in while supplies last. Just take that short money saving drive down 144th Street or check us out online at couplecars.com. You'll be glad you did. All offers include trade-in bonus and with approved credit.
All right, Rico, let's do the final checklist before we head out. We have a lot of people coming to the tailgate today. I'm ready. Burgers? Check. Chips? Check. Icy cold beer? Check. Except this one. I'm forgetting something. Wait a second. Where's the Führer's cheese spread? I can't stop eating it. Rico, relax. I always pack extra. It's the biggest hit of the tailgate.
For the best appetizer, party dip, and tailgate snack, load up on Führer's cheese spread today. Found in most local grocery stores.
Is your backyard ready for fun with friends and family this fall? GE Landscape Supply has pavers and boulders, which are a great accent for any landscaping project. And you can find them at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials. And don't forget, they deliver anywhere, nearby or far away. Stop by at 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. Go to gelandscapesupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627. Yet another Nebraska winter is looming, and you know you're going to need tires on your vehicle. Don't fret, they are all on sale now during the October Spectacular event at Graham Tire Company. Buy 3 Kumho tires and get the 4th tire free with the purchase of an install package. Save big on Goodyear, Hankook, Nokian, and more. Big rebates on select Goodyear tires that will double when you use your Goodyear credit card. It's their biggest sale of the year, and it's happening now. GrahamTireLincoln.com, getting you to the places that matter most.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now, they've raised wages again, and they're hiring for production operators at $24.62 per hour, which grows to $28.97 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $33.36 per hour, with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates, with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or apply, go to continentaljobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
Whether you're looking for a place to stay for a concert at PBA, a Nebraska home game, or just a night on the town, the Courtyard Lincoln Downtown Haymarket is the place for you. Enjoy an evening at one of many restaurants or bars within a short walking distance. Business travelers at the hotel will enjoy free high-speed internet access, a 24-hour business center, and large in-room workstations. And check out the bistro, where you'll enjoy healthier food and beverage options, as well as high-tech conveniences. Book your room today at the Courtyard Lincoln Downtown Haymarket.
Tired of the ugly signs, extra expense, and costly damage from hard water? It's time to call the plumbers at Bryant for a water softener solution. Hi folks, Greg Shop here, the voice of the Huskers. At Bryant, you get high-quality water softener products installed by plumbers you can trust, and no arm-twisting contracts that tie you down. Just one call, 467-1111, or visit BryantLincoln.com to schedule a free softener installation estimate. Come on, soften up with Bryant. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
It's football season, and that means coaches everywhere are busy making game plans. I'm Matt Knipe with Liberty Law Group. Teams make game plans because no two opponents are the same. At Liberty Law, we understand that no two cases are the same. Whether facing a DUI, criminal charge, or you were injured and it wasn't your fault, we tailor our legal game plan to meet your unique needs. We are relentless trial attorneys serving all of Nebraska. To learn more, go to libertylawnebraska.com. That's libertylawnebraska.com.
This is where it happens. Long hikes with friends, kayaking adventures with family, more horseback riding, zipline gliding, rock face climbing, hammock camping fun than you could ever imagine. And it's all outdoors, amongst the trees and across the prairie, here beneath Nebraska skies. Plan an outing today at yournebraskaadventure.com. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Back on the block. One more segment before we cross over with DPNJ. Old school. Gonna talk about Jimbo Fisher.
Jimbo Fisher.
Because of this. You have this happening now. teams are getting frustrated. Teams are getting impatient. Universities and their staffs are just not going to take it anymore, Popeye style. I've had all I can stand, and I can't stand no more.
Yeah.
And they're making adjustments. They're going in, and they're trying to make decisions. This was a big decision. Now, this isn't one that you can just kind of mull over, take lightly. We haven't heard of anything as far as the negotiations concerned at this point. And so this is a big deal. It's big money. You know what? Over $50 million.
Yeah,
we're talking.
Yeah. So back on September 1st, 2021, Jimbo Fisher signed a 10-year, fully guaranteed contract extension that would pay him $95 million through 2031. Right. If Texas A&M fires Jimbo Fisher at the end of the 2023 season, they would owe him $67.5 million. And that it goes down basically by about $9 million or so every year. So you're talking, I mean, even if they were to hold on to him, right? Nebraska's just fired Scott Frost with that $15 million buyout, right?
And there was some negotiations.
There was.
Mm-hmm.
With the $15 million buyout, though, in 2029, for a reference point, if Texas A&M waited until 2029 to fire Jimbo Fisher, they would pay him $19.8 million. I mean, you're talking about this is a long-lasting issue and problem that they've had, or that they will have for Texas A&M football. Now, here's the deal. This is where we're at in collegiate athletics, specifically college football, though, is because schools have to make the choice of, do we pay the guy that we think is going to fix us, or do we not take a risk and maybe pay less with a greater chance that it doesn't work out? We've seen it now here with two instances. Mel Tucker, obviously, for off the field stuff, and now Jimbo Fisher.
Is Hugh Freeze kind of fit in this mold?
Maybe it's a little too risky. It's too early. It's too early, though, I think, right?
It's not going to get any easier.
I mean, frankly, let's be honest. Matt Rule's in the same conversation too. If it doesn't work out, is where
he's at, 8 years?
Yeah, nine. You take this gamble. Now, thankfully, with Matt Rule, is that it's a backloaded contract, but most notably, if it like these institutions don't have any other choice but to make a long-term commitment to a guy. And so it, number one, is a very coaches friendly time right now, because there are extensions and there are contract negotiations that are talking and involving insane amounts of money, right? The $100 million that Lincoln Riley's making is not out of the ordinary now. Same with Les Miles.
Should they put clauses in for boneheaded coaches' decisions, like some of them are about to?
Well, and that's
why, you're creating. Like, just think about what happened with who? Gosh darn it, my mind just drew a blank. They who went for it? And, no, wait, who was it? We were talking about them last week. My mind just drew a blank. They won the game, and he just should have kneeled the ball.
Mario Cristobal. Like, for boneheaded stuff like that, I'm thinking there should be some return back on the investment. Maybe stupid stuff. Maybe I think it's hard though, because you're gonna
I want money back.
How do you constitute what's a boneheaded mistake, right? But
that's why we see Northwestern.
I was just gonna say though, like that's why we see
kickoff with freaking trying to onside with a 12-point lead.
Yeah,
bonehead. But he should have gave back $5 million for that.
But that's all unfortunately like subjective. What I would say though is like that's why it's always. I mean, this is the dirty part of business. Okay, is that if institutions and programs can figure out a way to fire people with cause, they're gonna fire them with cause, because that is the clause in that contract that you're talking about, Strick. You get off the hook of $80 million if you can figure out a way to fire somebody with cause.
There's the Mel Tucker situation.
And they will not stop digging until they feel like they have enough stuff on you to fire you for cause. And so especially if that means that you get off the hook for 80 or 100 million. Why? Because that means that you have a fresh start. You're not paying a previous guy, number one. You have a fresh start to sign another guy that you think is going to be the savior or the difference maker to that same type of contract because that's what the market is right now. And so, like, you look at this Jimbo Fisher situation, and did they overpay him? Absolutely. But Texas A&M believed that they were going to
have their guy.
And
then he gave him some fool's gold.
Yeah.
The fool's gold came with the number one recruiting class.
I was just going to say high recruits.
Yeah. He gave him the fool's gold, and half of them left.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
So that's the part. So you can get the trickery sometimes, but where do we go from here?
Well, I
you know, because it's very similar to like
crazy.
the NBA to me. Like the NBA is about to, it can literally fall flat on its face. A house of cards can literally top over, because I just think they're banking on going out and getting a new TV deal, which I don't know if that's going to happen at the level that they wanted, $24-something billion.
I'll be honest. I don't see it stopping. Like this market, and here is why. Because we always view coaches, whether it's intentional or unintentional, we put these coaches into subjective tiers. And what I mean by that is that I have my list of tiers and coaches that are the tier 1 coaches, the tier 2 coaches, the tier 3 coaches, right? The Nick Sabans, the Dabo
these are just head
Sweeneys.
coaches. We're not incorporating OCs, DCs, risk. Those are risk reward.
And you can include
coaches,
those into
right?
like I would put, all right, how good of a head coach somebody is influenced by their ability to bring in top level assistants. So that's included in the evaluation, I think. But athletic directors and university presidents, whether they want to admit it or not, or they have official tiers, or whether the search committees want to admit it or not, like, they have these subjective tiers on what they view coaches as and where they view them in relationship to the rest of the country, to where a guy like the Nick Saban, Dabo Sweeney tier have such few coaches. And then there's a little bit of a gap between Ryan Day and Jim Harbaugh and James Franklin, like that tier. And then the gap between that tier and another tier gets a little wider.
Is Dabo Sweeney in which tier is Dabo Sweeney?
I think
Top
still
tier?
in top tier.
Yeah.
Even though there's some weird stuff going on. And so, like, you have the gaps in between the tiers, if this makes sense, getting wider and wider as you go down, especially when it's like tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4, and it's just a collection of everybody else. But in reality, people will pay millions and millions of more money to get that tier 3 guy instead of maybe taking a gamble on a tier 4 guy. And so, even though Jimbo won a national title with Florida State, was he ever viewed in that conversation with Nick Saban? Like, was he ever viewed in that as Les Miles is probably bad. I'm trying to think back in 2013 or 2014, like when Florida State was playing well, how Jimbo Fisher was viewed. Like, yeah, he was a top coach in the country, but nowhere close to like a Nick Saban, nowhere close to where Dabo is viewed right now, in my opinion. But Texas A&M paid him that way. And so we're always going to see this to where Mel Tucker was paid like a coach above him would be paid because they thought that he was going to be the next one. But in reality, he had a 7-5 year at Colorado and then had a really nice transfer portal addition at Michigan State.
Yeah.
So when you really break it down, you're going to continue to see, I think, overpaying and people trying to ask coaches to be something they're not, which will then in turn put the pressure on them to ask players to be something that they're not. And it's going to really mess up the entire system.
That's a fact, especially if your organization or your team or your program is not built on a solid foundation.
Yeah.
Anybody can strike gold. Just, you can be walking in the field and hit an oil, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, well, there's really nothing to it, but just you just ran in there and hit a 7.
Here's what I would say.
Tape.
Brad said, what's Florida State done since? Well, I understand that. And there was a couple years there where Florida State was really down, but they went out, they hired. Okay, Florida State's an interesting example because they went out, they hired a guy that was kind of on the up and up in Willie Taggart from Oregon, right? And Willie Taggart probably should have never left Oregon. Willie Taggart had it decent at Oregon. He had a nice quarterback, Vernon Brown Jr. He had some good pieces at Oregon. And then he goes to Florida State, where the expectations are to replace a national championship winning coach. Willie Taggart struggled big time, did not do well. So then Florida State has to reset where they're at. They go out, get a group of 5 guy in Mike Norvell from Memphis. Memphis's former head coach, Mike Norvell, had really good success in the American Athletic Conference. And now he misses out on the number 1 recruit in the country, and Travis Hunter. Everybody thought it was in shambles. Everybody thought Florida State's done. They need to move on from Mike Norvell. I joined a Twitter space or a Twitter little chat that day when Travis Hunter flipped his commitment from Florida State to Jackson State, and you could not talk in that circle or in that chat without saying fire Mike Norvell first. Well, if you fire Mike Norvell, they're not a top 5
where
team
you're
right
at
now.
Yeah.
They're a top 5 team in the country right now. Florida State is. So once again, it's about the right fit. And he has shown that through all that adversity of people wanting to get rid of him for losing out on the number 1 recruit in Travis Hunter, was it a big loss? Certainly. Did he figure out a way? Because that's what good coaches do. Yes. And that's why Florida State's a top 10
You got
team.
a great quarterback.
Jordan Travis. And guess what? What does Jordan Travis have? A guy by the name of Keon Coleman, a really, really good transfer portal wide receiver from Michigan State, an unbelievable transfer portal addition from Keon Coleman. And that's been a big part of Florida State's offense.
You hit.
There you go. You struck gold.
You struck gold.
And guess what? I bet Mike Norvell has 2 more years of safe space there.
I would have to
because
agree,
of one good
because
year.
he needed it.
Yeah.
Because he was they were calling for him to be at the stake.
That's what's insane
Like,
is
crazy.
We've seen now also at a couple of those places, it's like you need one good year that you're exceeding expectations to get a couple more years of runway.
Yeah.
Because you've given them a taste. That's what's going to be really interesting here with Matt Rule. Okay. And I'll put this out there. I'll be honest. Like, it's going to be really interesting of Matt Rule of these next couple of weeks where Nebraska has an opportunity to do something, right? They officially, control their own destiny, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
They have an opportunity ahead of them. If Matt Rule wins this year, and wins, by 6, 7, 8 wins, but then follows that up with some disappointing years, which are very possible with the way the Big Ten is going to be shaping out. Where's Nebraska at?
Where do we go?
Right? Because he wins in year 1, and obviously these are like far down the road issues to worry about. That's why I just wanted to enter it into the world, the atmosphere.
Well,
hey, if you win in year 1, but don't win in year 2, 3, 4, 5,
you still be ousted.
Nobody's talking about year 1 anymore.
Because let's be real about it. Harbaugh was literally
he was
on the step with the rope on him.
Yeah, people
ready to go.
Well, people forget that Scott Frost Nebraska used the same method Michigan used to say, hey, Scott, listen, we're gonna make it a little bit of a cheaper contract for you to stay around. That's exactly what Michigan did. Then Michigan got a really good recruiting class. They've grown and developed Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards. They got JJ McCarthy.
Yeah.
They've struck gold. And so once again, it just takes I don't want to come across as I don't think Matt Rule's going to win in year 3. That's not what I was trying to say at all. But that's to the point of all right, good. You exceeded expectations in 1 year, but now that the fan base is going to expect you to exceed expectations every year.
That's a fact.
And if you don't, then you're failing, and failure causes you to be fired. It's a grueling business. But if I'm Jimbo Fisher, I'm saying, all right, yeah, go ahead, fire me. You know what? It's not going to work out. And it feels like it's almost to the point where it's all right, this feels
nowhere to go from here.
This conversation is looming over everybody's head. People are talking about it on a national level. Is it ever going to be at a point where Jimbo's exceeding expectations? Man, it's going to
get worse.
It's going to get a lot tougher with Oklahoma and Texas moving in.
That's definitely the case. We're going to cross it over when we come back. DP and Jay, probably Jay. Jay's already over there. We see him through the glass. He's going to come on in here. We're going to talk a little bit. We may throw some of these questions at him and get his take as well. Maybe the quarterback debate. Just throw some stuff at him. We'll see. Right back. 937 Ticket.
You're counting on your team to win, so why not prove it? By placing your bets at Warhorse Sportsbook, Their win is your win. Put your money where your mouth is on nearly every sporting event. Use the Warhorse app to check odds and build your bets before placing your wagers in person at Warhorse Casino, including live in-game betting. No bets, no glory. Wagers may only be placed on Nebraska-based teams when played outside the state of Nebraska. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call 1-833-BET-OVER.
If you want all the latest technologies from those big banks, but you also want that hometown feel when you walk in the front doors, choose Midwest Bank. They have top-notch technology. They make banking so easy, and they also have the friendliest staff who will take their time to get to know you and treat you like family. You get the best of both worlds when you choose Midwest Bank. I live on the go, and now I can bank on the go. With Midwest Bank, I have everything I need at my fingertips. I'm volleyball player Allie Batenhorst, and at Midwest Bank, you'll love banking here.
All right, Rico, let's do the final checklist before we head out. We have a lot of people coming to the tailgate today.
I'm ready.
Burgers?
Check.
Chips?
Check.
Icy cold beer?
Check. Except this one.
I'm forgetting something. Wait a second. Where's the Führer's cheese spread?
I can't stop eating it.
Rico!
Relax. I always pack extra. It's the biggest hit of the tailgate.
For the best appetizer, party dip, and tailgate snack, load up on Führer's cheese spread today. Found in most local grocery stores.
Hi, it's Charlie Stone, and here with me is Andy Goodyear, General Manager of Honda of Lincoln. Andy, I know the new Honda sales are going really good right now at Honda of Lincoln. And with that, a lot of fresh trade-ins are coming in. Can you tell our listeners about your pre-owned selection?
I'm happy to, Charlie. Like you said, with new Honda sales going very good, we have a lot of fresh trade-ins coming in daily. And not just Hondas. We have just about every maker model you can imagine, with over 100 pre-owned and certified pre-owned to choose from, and prices starting at just $5,900.
Wow, what about financing?
We have financing as low as 3.29% APR on certified Accords and CRV.
Thanks again, Andy. People love the selection and great service at Honda of Lincoln. Maybe it's time you come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business. 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Experience the Landmark difference with the next level of dealer support. Landmark, your local John Deere dealer, continually works to have parts on hand the first time you walk in the door. Our internal route system means we can get the parts to you typically same or next day to keep you up and running. At Landmark, we understand time is money. Get more uptime with our after-hours parts and service support on the phone or in the field. Our sales, precision ag, parts, and service teams are ready to serve you this planting season. Stop by your local Landmark today to experience the Landmark difference.
This is where it happens. Long hikes with friends, kayaking adventures with family, more horseback riding, zip line gliding, rock face climbing, hammock camping fun than you could ever imagine. And it's all outdoors, amongst the trees and across the prairie, here beneath Nebraska skies. Plan an outing today at yournebraskaadventure.com. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, expecting a slight chance of showers, otherwise decreasing cloud cover as we head throughout the day. Afternoon high should be around 69. Tonight, partly cloudy, a little breezy yet, the low of around 49. And tomorrow, mostly sunny skies return with a high of around 70. I'm meteorologist Kyle Hooker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Integrated Life Choices has been inspiring opportunities for individuals with disabilities for more than 15 years in Lincoln and across Nebraska by offering a number of services. From group homes to independent living resources and job training, you'll find the support that allows people to live fulfilling lives. They're also hiring. If you're looking for a rewarding career supporting people with developmental disabilities, you can check out open positions along with learning more about services at ilc.net. Integrated Life Choices.
Tired of the ugly signs, extra expense, and costly damage from hard water? It's time to call the plumbers at Bryant for a water softener solution. Hi, folks. Greg Shop here, the voice of the Huskers. At Bryant, you get high-quality water softener products installed by plumbers you can trust, and no arm-twisting contracts that tie you down. Just one call, 467-1111, or visit BryantLincoln.com to schedule a free softener installation estimate. Come on, soften up with Bryant. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing. We do whatever it takes.
Constructors Inc., a Nebco company, is now hiring mechanics to maintain fleet equipment and vehicle operations. Constructors offers mechanics a competitive salary, 4-day work weeks with overtime options, a $5,000 hiring bonus, a tool allowance, and great benefits. Join the crew today and be a part of Nebraska's oldest paving company dating back to 1908. Apply today for their open mechanic positions. Visit constructorslincoln.com.
Repeat after me. I will not touch the fuse box.
I will probably not touch the fuse box.
Sip, do you remember what happened last time?
Yeah, I remember.
What happened?
Half of the city block lost power.
And?
My chicken condo went haywire.
That's right. The chickens ran wild. So what do we do instead?
Call Joe at Ambition Electric and let him handle everything. Look, saved on speed dial.
Ambition Electric, 402-217-3415, or online at ambitionelectric.com.
Are you tired of living in pain? It's time to take control. At Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, we're your one-stop shop for expert care in Lincoln. From broken bones to complex reconstruction, our skilled team will help you get back on track. Visit prairieortho.com today and discover why we're the trusted choice for thousands of patients. Don't let pain hold you back. Take the first step towards a better, pain-free life with Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, where healing begins. Call 402-489-4700.
Finally, a good reason to have a smart house. Just say, Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket, and we'll magically start playing. How's it work? Nobody knows. Don't ask questions. Now back to On the Block with Strick and Austin on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Yeah, you know it's the best time of the show for me when Jay come in the building.
When it's almost time to go.
No, when Jay come in the building. Me and Jay, we don't even care if you in here right now. I'm just messing with you.
Okay. All right. Look at Hey, Strick said he wanted to learn the board.
No,
all right.
no.
Here we go. Throw him into the fire.
No, not at all. But here's the thing, man. We won't get into the quarterback debate, but it was a pretty good debate. But I really like what we just talked about, where, you know, the changes right now in the coaching system, the way the coaching situation is, there's a lot of impatience. There's you don't got a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, if I can say, Janet Jackson, what have you done for me lately?
Yeah. Or what are you doing for me right
now?
Yeah.
Right. And so there's a lot of paperwork out here that is going into the pockets of those with the impatience. So if you land the right situation, you could end up winning in the end, regardless of if you win at all.
Yeah.
So is there changes need to be made? Is there anything that they can do or we can do? Because we're talking about Jimbo Fisher right now. Things are starting to escalate to the point where they're starting to have conversations.
Yeah.
Those conversations are starting to be had as to, if we pull the trigger, do we got
enough money?
Enough of
They're
that.
expensive conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And plus, people are having even if they aren't realistically having conversations, there's people having conversations for them, and people have been trying to have this conversation about Jimbo Fisher for well over a season and a half. And so, I think it's a little bit like NIL. Really, if you're in, internally motivated, getting an NIL deal is not going to stop you from trying to get to the league, right? Because there's guys that are probably in some cases a lot better than you, still go to the league and still play well. If you really about coaching, you're not going to just try to go somewhere and then get lazy and get a big check. Now, I do think the patience level isn't very long generally. Yeah. That's sad to say, but then also I think there's not once you kind of had your first taste of a big time job, a lot of coaches most likely probably don't want to go and rebuild something. Now it's different. You look at Matt Rule, he's done it, 3 different places or 2, and then obviously coming here for a 3rd. And some people are just built that way, and you got to be patient with it. But I think along with the patience, if you have a plan and a clear
You
plan.
got to share. Yeah, you got to be able to lay it out.
Right. But if you have a clear plan and then you execute it, then most likely it's going to work out. But even if it doesn't, you have enough confidence that you'll pivot or pivot from it. When if you get up there and you just keep saying like, "Oh, we're going to keep doing what we're doing," and what you've been doing hasn't been fundamentally sound football, really don't know and have an identity. You're really never available. Yeah. You're not very like
transparent,
or like you're not. You don't want to talk to people. Well, then. I think sometimes there's the gray area. You can talk too much, and then everybody can kind of like dice everything up. And we've seen that in stuff like that where people try to, take your word and then take their interpretation to it. So then that will cause a coach to pause. But then when you purposely don't say anything, then you're allowing everybody to make
their own assessments and jumps. Yeah.
And so you want to be, and look at Nick Saban. He's grown over the years. Bill Belichick, if you catch him on the right day, he'll give you some nuggets. Bill Parcells gave you more than towards the end of his career. Sean Payton probably gave you too much.
Mm-hmm.
He forgot to turn off what he did. So, I mean, it kind of depends. You got to develop. If you're talking about developing a player, matter of fact, I was just talking to a former teammate about it, and he was a coach in another sport. And I said, man, if they're turning rosters over like that in football when I was coming up, it took me a whole season. I'm telling you, if you saw me when I first got to campus, you like, this dude ain't got a chance in hell making it.
Mm-hmm.
But Coach Osborne knows how to plan. I executed the plan. I was talking to somebody last night. I truly believe that development is 85%, 80 to 90% on the player.
On the player?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
Because you can give a player the plan.
You
and
give
if the
them
plan is not
the plan, like what's on this sheet of paper here is like your workout plan. Like this could be the Jay Foreman blueprint to be somewhat successful. Now, that's just to get your key card to work to get into the stadium. What you will do outside of that accentuates all this stuff to make you a better player is a lot on you. If you're just so satisfactory you're doing this, then you're going to be a satisfactory. You're just going to be an average player.
And that's one of the things I've talked about. I've talked to, and I'm going to let you go. I've talked to people about that in other facets because it's you look in the mirror honest. It's then you looking side by side. And the way I said it is, say, for example, we're linebackers, Jay and I, and I'm looking internally at what I need to do. And then it's also that accountability of being able to come to you and say, Jay, I was watching film, bro, and there's a couple of instances where you're supposed to be in a gap that you didn't hit, man. I need you. I need you to feel that, man.
Right.
I can't even get past you because you in my way of scraping off your back.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's another conversation.
Right.
And then you got to go into the collective defensive and be able to look each other and look, I'm getting depth, or Jay or Strick, you ain't getting enough depth, bro, in this cover 2 or cover 3 or in this, cover 4 or whatever. You're not getting enough depth.
Right.
You're a little shallow.
Yeah.
And that's another conversation.
Yeah.
So it's
constant.
It's a constant
and that's
growth
what
of the
development
conversation.
is constantly improving. It's addressing your weaknesses. It's accentuating your strengths. It's developing new skills. It's trying to be motivated. Obviously internally, and then you just go from there. I mean, if you're in a linebacker room, you're playing for yourself ideally, but you're playing for the linebacker room.
Right.
More importantly.
Right.
I just would never want to be in there and you watch tape and you be like, that dude's dogging
You didn't do your job. Yeah.
I never wanted to be like that, man. I played with guys like that, and it's frustrating. I played with guys that were, and this is in the NFL, that were athletically and like just naturally more gifted than me, but their effort and their attention to detail and wanting to be the best they could be, not so much.
I'm interested from the big picture view, right? When you're looking at college football specifically, in this day and age where the patience is so much smaller, right? And the margin for error, frankly, is you're not allowed to make as many mistakes before you're gone, and they'll figure out a way to pay for it. Right.
Pink slip.
I wonder if nowadays, especially with athletic directors and university presidents, this is their way of kind of, number one, making the legacy for themselves, right? Because if they hire the right guy or the right woman to come in and lead a program, that's tied to their legacy, number one. Number two, it reinvigorates the fan base.
Sure.
It gives the fan base new hope. So it makes that justification of hiring or firing somebody maybe earlier than you should, prematurely firing them.
Right.
It allows them internally to justify it, saying, I'm doing this for the fan base.
Yeah.
Instead of when it could really be setting back your entire university and program.
Yeah, very, very rarely especially in professional sports, like the Patriots. Pete Carroll had when he was there a couple years, they were a decent team. He was a young coach. You fire him, he's going to end up being a Hall of Fame coach based on what he did at USC and Seattle. Well, then you hire Bill Belichick. You don't get much better than that. You know what I mean?
You don't get second and third chances.
You don't get second and third chances. That's why it's so crucial. But I think the ability to have more patience starts at the top and having a clear vision of what you want in a coach. They're kind of lock and step together. And then also I think, like, look, man, it's you gotta, and this is just in general across you gotta really want it, man. Like, coaching is a grind. Playing football in college is a grind. Like, and the Strick didn't either. I never got to have the college experience. That's what you give up, man. You sacrifice something.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to, at any magnitude of sport, to play that sport and have a regular life. That's why they call it. That's why you're special. That's why you might get some things that the normal student doesn't get. That's the way it is, dude. And you're not going to, that's just the way it is. You're going to have to work hard. You're not going to be able to hit O Street on.
I was just going to say, you're giving up the social life of going down to O Street or going down to the Haymarket.
You just can't do that. And if that's,
and it also is then a bad look if after a 45-7 loss you are.
Yeah, it taught me a lot of lessons. It taught me. I
didn't mean to put a 45. Yeah. That was just an initial score that came to my mind. I don't know of any players going. Like, I'm not trying to infuse that.
Yeah, you learn a lot of lessons out of it, and then you learn how to. It really does. If you do it right, it teaches you true professionalism.
Right.
Of
sacrifice.
Yes, it really does.
I'd ask Strick this. Like, this is the funny thing I always think about, like, college kids is like, tell me who your favorite, who they viewed as the greatest of all time. So right now it's probably like along the lines, because they didn't probably, a lot of them maybe never saw Michael Jordan play. So it's probably LeBron, KD, Steph Curry, Giannis.
Yeah.
In basketball. In football, it's
Tom
Brady. Maybe after that, maybe Patrick Mahomes, right? Because he's new age. He's younger.
Yeah.
Brett Favre, maybe.
Yeah, Brett Favre. Aaron Rodgers.
It's going to depend.
Right, Aaron Rodgers. But more or less Brady, Mahomes, and then you'll get into the Kelce's and all that.
Yeah.
Okay, we have our list here. It could be 100 guys. You can't name one that didn't put in extra work. We saw the QB1 with Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
He's working out as hard in the end season as he does in the off season, 3 times a week, pays and moved his trainer to Kansas City because he wants to be the best of all time. There's your recipe right there. That's that's not on the sheet. I'm sure he does the Kansas City workout, right? Or maybe this is what he does. But what's he's doing it after hours.
Yeah.
On top of watching hours of tape. But he has a social life. But he's time management, and which is the crucial part in that first 2 years.
Learning how to,
and then you got to sacrifice, and they kind of go hand in hand, because if you time manage, you're going to sacrifice something.
Yeah,
great
there
stuff.
It is. Good stuff, Stricky. Always a blast, my man.
Man, it's always a pleasure to be able to work with you. And again, this is every Wednesday. You're going to see Nikki and Stricky.
There it is. All right,
there it is. Oh, you got the new dynamic duo.
Yeah, every Wednesday.
On Wednesdays,
Stricky.
Here it is.
Cool, Strick. He don't really mess with me no more, but it's cool.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna mess with you.
What are we doing Thursday
I know
night?
you're not gonna be here, but Stricky's gonna hold you down while you go tomorrow. Stricky's gonna hold him down.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Strick. I can always depend on you.
See, there
not about so much about you.
What are we doing at 7 p.m. tomorrow night, Strick? Jay?
We're calling the game.
There it is.
Yeah, but that's only because you need Gus Johnson in there.
Get out of here. All right, old school coming up next. Stick around, DP and Jay, right after this.